The amount of work that's put in yourself to find the courage to start is the most important step. If you have a goal that's that important, focus on the journey and not specifically only the goal.
In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to believe in yourself when you're the first. So I've got the beautiful Raha Moharrak with me, who was the first Saudi woman to climb Mount Everest, to climb the 7 summits. And I think that she has a lot of valuable insights and tips to share with all of us, because we all have our own mountains to climb, whether it's a challenge or it's a personal goal that we all aspire for. So I'm here to get the secret sauce, because for me, I just would love to learn from you a few things. I would love to first know, how do you discover this burning desire to do something when you're the first? You might be the first in your family, in your community, in your country, in the world to pursue something. And how do you believe in yourself? How do you continue to believe in yourself and, against all odds? So, Raha,
such a good question.
Thank you for joining me.
And I love this question because I always say that not everyone will climb Everest, that's in the Himalayas, but everyone has an Everest to climb. But what does it mean when you have an Everest? How do you get there? How do you get the courage to start? I love that you say secret sauce. I can't cook to save my life. But there's no secret sauce. The truth is, there's no secret sauce. The amount of work that's put in yourself to find the courage to start is the most important step.
For example, first, how did you discover that you had this desire to do this something that nobody else has done, right? Like, you're the first to do it.
Everybody is born with the potential.
Right.
Every one of us is born with a potential. That potential fades as we grow.
Right.
And it's first the parents' responsibility to keep that potential, to bestow that kind of sense of ability in the child, and then as you grow, the responsibility of keeping it goes to you. So everybody has a potential, but not everybody holds on to that potential. In my case specifically, when I was little, I was always very curious, very outgoing, wanting to learn, wanting to explore, and my parents fed that. They weren't like, oh my god, you're crazy.
They didn't suppress it.
They didn't suppress it. I drove them crazy. Like, inshallah, they have places in heaven, because I was a very hyper, very curious, very inquisitive, and I questioned everything type of child. Great for you as an adult, but horrendous as a parent, because you have a child that's always asking you why, how come, explain.
So when was the moment that you basically decided that this is something that you want to climb Mount Everest? So when you decided that you wanted to do this, right? Because I'm sure there was the prep before that. So how old were you?
I've always been that way. I can't pretend that it was something that suddenly came. I was always
pushing boundaries.
Curious. I was always pushing boundaries. I was always hungry for the world. It was just a character trait.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people are born that way, but not everybody, like I said, hold on.
Right.
So
the light gets dimmed along the way by reality, by family, by friends, by society.
Let's admit it's a luxury to be able to hold on to this thing. It's a luxury because there are difficult paths in life. Like, not everybody has the ability to go do whatever they want. So what's super important is, first of all, building the self-confidence every single day. Building that self-confidence, because confidence gets broken in a second, but it takes years to
rebuild. Yeah.
So build it. Challenge yourself. I never imagined I would ever be a public person, because I was never comfortable speaking in public. But I realized that I'm a people person. So I built on my people person skills and built the media skills based on that. So highlight your positives. We are our worst critics.
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
be too harsh on yourself.
It's a proactive effort that you need to put, because what I'm hearing is that you put in the effort every single day in your life since you were a child, to which, when the opportunity came about,
I had the confidence to go after it. Of course I hesitated. Of course I felt, is this meant for me? Can I? Can't I? Of course I felt that. But because I grew up being very, very bold and very, very driven by curiosity, so I had that already in my pocket, thinking, why not? If I didn't build that character, if I didn't build the confidence, I wouldn't have the confidence.
When the moment came about, you wouldn't have been prepared psychologically and mentally.
And emotionally to do that.
First thing I'm hearing from you is that you need to work on yourself daily to build on your confidence. When the opportunity arises, whether it's a passion, whether it's personal or professional goal that comes about that you desire, that you're ready for it, because you're not then trying to catch up on all the other fundamental
Which
things
doesn't
you
happen
need.
in a day, Tafi.
And what triggered this? Because you were the first
Okay.
Saudi woman at the age of
24, 25.
is when you climbed or when you decided?
When I started climbing was at 24, 25.
When did you decide before that?
Well, here's the thing with me and climbing. I didn't set off thinking I wanted to be the first to climb Everest.
Right.
I didn't set off to want to climb Everest. My journey was I wanted to live an adventurous life.
Okay, so that was your intention. So also this is amazing because that means you need to have a certain intention that you're putting out.
And an open mind enough to try new things so that you can explore
Amazing.
your ability and your capabilities. Had I not been courageous and curious enough about climbing, I wouldn't have been sitting here today talking to you about my career, right?
Right.
So you need to be able to expand your horizon, expand your emotions, so that you can see what you can potentially do.
So basically you're saying you had the intention of
To live adventurous.
live adventurous and then you kept an open mind. So then when
I found
climbing,
that.
when you thought about the climbing mountain, you attracted that as well, right? Because you kept
I went after it.
right.
And
Okay,
I
amazing.
attracted the 7 summits. If you have a goal that's that important, focus on the journey and not specifically only the goal.
Right, the end result.
I didn't focus, I'm first. I didn't make it big in my brain, in my
Right.
mind, because I didn't think it was a big deal. I was like, okay, I didn't know.
Right.
So I wasn't pressured being the first because that wasn't my driver.
Right,
That wasn't my goal.
Right.
I wasn't trying to be the first, I just happened to be the first.
right.
So I didn't have the pressure of wanting to be first. If you're not the first, would you still want it?
Yeah,
That's what I tell people all the time.
right. Yeah.
I ask them, if you are not the first in whatever you want to do you still want it? And if the answer is no, then you're just doing it to be the first.
It's a bit of a superficial kind
It's
of
worthless.
meaning.
If you want to do something, you just happen to be the first, that's amazing. But you doing something only to be first is a lot of pressure.
It doesn't have the same
same-
valuable meaning.
Most of the amazing stories of firsts are people who followed their passion and just happened to be first.
Wow, I love that.
Do you think Amelia Earhart grew up thinking, I want to be the first woman? She was an amazing pilot in an era that were no female pilots, and
Right.
she became the first. You
Okay.
think Serena grew up thinking she wanted to be the first to smash all of these records? She was an incredible athlete, and then as she grew, she became a legend in the sport. Most people follow their passion and became legends.
So basically, you had an intention and you kept an open mind to live curiously and adventurously, and you kept an open mind and you came across the experience. You decided to test out the experience of climbing a mountain, which then basically your achievements were even bigger than your wildest dreams. Like they were even
Yes,
bigger than
because I
your
was
initial
by passion of the
curiosity,
yes.
living curiously and adventurously,
There's
which led you to even bigger and bigger
Yes.
achievements.
Yes. Kind of weird because I'm telling you, don't look at the bullseye to get to the bullseye.
If somebody's out there listening and they're thinking there's something that they aspire to pursue, whether it's a personal or professional level, and nobody around them has done it before, and so it is this new territory of being the first to be
Yeah.
different things, right?
Okay.
So, like, what tips do you have to somebody in terms of believing in themselves and continuing to believe in themselves and mustering the courage to pursue it, regardless of where they land, whether they are the first or whether they succeed or they fail, but believing in yourself to be able to hopefully achieve what you're set out.
First, develop thick skin and the ability to be criticized and not be broken.
Right.
Because 98% of people who do things for the first time or new things get criticized
Right.
and ridiculed.
Right.
So accept that this is part of the journey.
And by the way, a lot of people that are giving this feedback are sometimes it's coming from family
Their own
members
fa-
and
their
also
own family, yeah.
their own family who mean well, and sometimes others, whether a family or the society or the community, who don't necessarily mean well, right?
Or simply people that don't understand. Most of the criticism comes from those around you, and
Right.
most of that criticism comes from lack of understanding,
Right.
old norms, stereotypes.
Right.
It comes from negative places.
So we need to break this down in terms of like the negative or discouraging comments that you
Yeah.
get from loved ones or strangers
Yeah.
with good intentions or bad intentions. And I think the other one is like also the self-talk, right? Like the negative self-talk or self-doubt. So can you kind of break those two bits?
Before that, how do you filter who do you listen to, who you don't listen to? It's as simple as if you don't take advice from them, don't take criticism from them. If there's someone you wouldn't listen to for something good and advice, don't listen to them in something that's bad. Of course, there are those that are close to you that do criticize, do worry about you, and do love you.
Right.
So how do you handle them?
Right.
It's a long and very tedious and loving process. Make them understand why this means as much as it means to you.
Right.
Let them join your madness, especially like my dad, someone who
Right.
was as important to me as my dad, who was like, no, this is crazy, you're insane.
Yeah.
I made him
dangerous.
It's dangerous. I made him understand that if I don't do this, I feel like I'm missing a part of me.
Right.
And I love that after years and years of us discussing and going and back and forth, he told me once, when someone asked him in an interview, why did you let her go in the end? How did you accept this? How did you accept? And he said, I'll never understand why she does this to herself, but I understand that she needs to.
Right.
And I would rather have her far away and happy than close to me and not
Right.
happy. So he
That's
had
amazing.
to compromise his comfort
Right.
and his mentality and his belief, because what's more important than that was
Right.
me fulfilling my destiny and
Yes.
aspirations. Him changing his mentality with something he didn't understand, or me changing who I am.
It's a combination of like, if they're loved ones and they care for you, they should be open enough to listen, to hear you out, and understand where you're coming from. And if they still don't understand it, that they should accept it. Okay. And if they don't accept it, right, they're not able to understand that this is what they should support you even if they don't fully understand it, then you need to, I guess, feel confident enough.
They're not your people.
And you need to feel confident about your decision, right? You need to believe in your decision.
What's more important? For you to lose someone who doesn't understand you, or for you to lose yourself? What's easier?
Because you end up resenting them, right? You will resent them for it.
If you don't do what you feel
right.
is your destiny.
To please them.
Within the parameters and within the guidelines of what is accepted and what is clean and noble. And we're not telling you to go and do whatever you want that's not nice and not clean and not appropriate, right?
Yeah.
Because some people live this life of I do whatever I want, they do inappropriate things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about pursuing your passion when it comes to a sport you like or a career you want.
A dream, a dream.
Because I get a lot of comments saying, but you're encouraging people to be disrespectful. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have a passion that is an honorable
and
passion.
if you're not harming anybody at the end of the day,
or harming anybody or bringing shame to family or like if you really are doing something that is clean and honorable and worthy, no one has the right to tell you don't deserve it. Right? But most of the time, the activity or the sport or whatever it is, or the career or whatever it is perceived to be inappropriate because of your gender, because of society and culture and mentality. Do you know what I mean?
What about the internal, like believing in yourself internally? Because I think what happens with a lot of people is they start with wanting to pursue a business or a passion or something, and then they start like courageous, and then at some point there's so much self-doubt, and you feel like on your dips, you feel like, oh my god, like I'm never going to be able to do this. Why am I even doing this? Who do I think I am to try to achieve this? This has never even happened before. Like, what makes me so special? So how did you deal with the self-doubt?
I asked myself this question.
Right.
And specifically, I went through this on one of my climbs on Denali. I attempted Denali and I couldn't climb it. So I came back.
Okay.
Bad weather, really long story. So I came back down from Denali, and it was my last summit from the 7. Came back down, and I thought I would never climb again. But I knew that I was going to get angry at myself for not attempting it. But I was too scared to go back.
Right.
So for a year, I asked myself almost every day, if you wake up in 30 or 40 years, would you rather had given up or attempt and fail again? Which of these two would you be comfortable with?
Right.
A decade down the line. Which one would let you sleep comfortably?
Right.
I swear, almost a year, from a birthday to a birthday, I would say. Because there's a big possibility that I attempt it and I won't be able to climb it, right?
Yeah.
But there's also
what's worse? Yeah.
Attempting and failing, or not trying
attempting at all. Like, what can you live yourself with?
What can you live with for the rest of your life?
Okay.
And then it was a very honest, very difficult conversation with myself. And then a year later, the answer was absolutely an attempt.
Yeah.
Rather than a complete give up.
Having the days of self-doubt, and we're contemplating giving up on whatever it is that we're trying to pursue. is it worse to try and fail at it, or to have never even have tried at all?
Or give up.
What about like when you're the first to do something and you don't have somebody else as a benchmark
It's terrifying.
who has, you know, you're following into their footsteps? How did you create the path? Like how?
Trial and error, asking, not being ashamed to ask, surrounding myself with the right people, being vulnerable enough to accept that I need help. Whenever I fall, I would remind myself that nothing that's worthy is easy.
Right.
Nothing in this world that's worthy or important or special is easy. So it's just a tax you have to pay, like the pain, the suffering, the self-doubt, the sleepless nights. I'm not even talking about the physical pain.
Right.
I'm talking about the mental and emotional pain of feeling like you're alone and like nobody understands. And even though I had some amazing friends, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And you can't not feel that way. It's you can't. I think you would be clinically insane if you don't have any,
Right.
You have to accept that
This is part of the package.
there are days where you wake up and I was thinking to myself,
What have I gotten myself into?
You wake up in a tent in the middle of Antarctica or the North Pole, the South Pole. I woke up and I had not a single toenail left. I was taping them. I had ulcers in my tummy from stressing for 2.5 weeks. I had horrible skin. Half of my eyebrows were falling off and eyelashes were falling off.
Oh my God.
I had, from stress, eczema all over the body in places you don't want eczema.
Oh wow.
And because I hadn't showered in 20-something days, it was itchy. And I couldn't eat well, I couldn't sleep well. And it was 24 hours sun, so the sun was 24 hours. And you wake up and it's in the middle of the night, but it's sunny. And you think, what
have I done? What have I gotten myself into? Mountains.
Yeah, in some mountains you see people who are lost their lives, and then you remind yourself that you're living a dream that not many people have the courage to live. You've gotten the opportunity to live the dream, and if you doubt yourself in this moment, then you'll doubt yourself your whole life. This critical moment when you're so alone and so vulnerable, you'll break something in yourself.
Right.
So those are the moments that make or break you, those moments. It's so easy to be comfortable in your house, going around, everything is fine, you sleep in your bed and you take a shower in your bathroom, like it's comfortable. Life looks not so bad then, right?
Yeah.
But add to all that, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you don't look like yourself, you're skinny, you have issues, blah, blah, blah. And then you really know who you really are and what you're made of.
In that moment, do you regret pursuing that dream? Because I'm sure a lot of people, when they're pursuing something, there are really hard days where they're like, is this worth it? Is this worth it?
Yeah, it comes sometimes, but for me, the answer was always yes, it was worth it.
Right.
For me.
Are you basically saying that those hard, painful days are something that are part of the equation and nothing to fear, because it's part of the, it's what makes it so rewarding. If it's too easy, nobody's doing it, right?
Yeah, it's what you have to pay. It's tax you pay for achieving something that's never been done before, and something that is special. I'm sorry that I don't have like a guide or a 1, 2, 3, but the reality is this is life. There's no shortcuts. I always say if you cut corners, the corners will cut you. Take that and see on every single aspect on life.
Right.
You shouldn't cut corners. You put the time in. You build on the emotional strength that you need, and surround yourself with the right people. It's a cocktail, right?
Right. So then you're saying that there is the mental, what you need to work on mentally in terms of like mentally, emotionally, physically, and then also you've also mentioned the support system.
Yeah. If I can say a conclusion, make sure that you love and befriend yourself, accept your flaws, celebrate them even if you can, because in the darkest moments in your life, you can't control anything other than what's in yourself. You can't control the people around you, can't control the people you love, you can't control the environment, you can't control how much money you make. You really can't, because life is such a volatile, wicked, amazing, beautiful roller coaster that you really don't know when the dips come and when the highs come. So you need to be able to rely on the one person that is with you your whole life, and that's yourself. The confidence in yourself.
Right.
Treat yourself like a 6-year-old that you love. And
you're nurturing them.
Nurture it, love it. Be kind, be accepting, be understanding.
Is there a ritual that you like? Is there anything specific that you practice every day to
No,
feed into that?
I try to be
Right.
very grateful. Whenever I have a hard time, Miral, I remind myself that I am very lucky and very
Yeah.
fortunate. Gratitude.
Absolutely.
Gratitude is the best remedy for ignorance, arrogance,
Fear.
greed.
Yeah.
Be grateful for what you have. If you meet yourself one day, make sure that it's a good person. Treat people like how you want them to treat you. So stop being, so selfish.
She came over for our coffee, and I'm like, you know what? I started to do some self-development videos or whatever.
It's my pleasure.
And I'm just like, I can't. You're not leaving until like you share your incredible experiences and your wisdom and your learnings from your. I'm sure somebody listening to this can really.
I hope so.
They're going through it in different capacities and in different ways. And how can you help transfer some of those? Like really help people shortcut and reassure them, and maybe shed light or reassure them on some of their own journeys and roller coasters. I really want to thank you for being such an incredible example in our community, in our society, to the youth.
Thank you.
We need more people like you. Genuinely, I say that with genuinely. I'm just thinking like, I don't know how many years ago was in your 20s, so like over a decade ago, you embarked on this journey as a young lady, and you did it all by yourself, and you don't have anybody to show you the way. So I thank you for showing us the way, and just the courage, and how you're making us believe, because you were able to achieve it. You're a living example of somebody who did the work, put in the hard work, put in all the effort, and you're.
I'm terrible at taking compliments, but thank you. Thank you.
I mean, it's not a compliment. It's very no. Like I genuinely mean it. Women who do this, like really, I'm eternally grateful for, because how much this then, the ripple effect of everything that you do is incredible.
Inshallah. Put out in the world what you want to get back. So that's how I live my life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching.